Good afternoon, everybody. I want to let you know that I am very excited, I am very passionate about my life currently. I believe wholeheartedly that I have a calling that I need to respond to, and I am working to respond to that calling. That calling is to establish psychotherapeutic relationships with individuals. I've been drawn into this for a long time, and I think when we take note and we try to notice, to become self-conscious of what has moved us towards meaningful engagement, we can unpack what kind of work I would argue God is calling us to do. And I think the best marker for it is when we aren't necessarily consciously seeking or planning or taking an active approach in what we are trying to do, and yet we are drawn into these types of psychological patterns. Yes, drawn into the pattern. How beautiful and how meaningful this is to honor these inherent meanings, these intrinsic patterns, these spiritual realities. I believe we are living in a time where we reject these. We reject them because they are mysterious. We can't look at them under a microscope very well. But I think that the field of psychology has granted us some insight into these patterns. Through research in attachment theory, in personality psychology, as well as affective neuroscience, we can get a snapshot into these patterns. But what will always reign supreme is the way of being, the way of relating that spontaneously emerges between the individual and that person's psychosocial environment. In their relationships, you can learn everything you need to learn by the way that the person relates to others and themselves. Granted, that's kind of a mystery. You have to do some investigating into those processes of relating. It's a deeply spiritual process. With that being said, I dream and am committed to achieving this dream of becoming a psychotherapist who honors these adaptive styles, who tries to unpack these styles to help the person become more self-responsible for the ways that they are actively or somewhat passively responding to the circumstances of their lives. And life is hard. Life is tragic. In fact, we all die. And we're being reminded of this transient nature of life. And we have to find ways to cope. I think the best ways that we can cope is when we reflect on our lives, on who we are, and on how things came to be, and why we are the way we are. We have to make sense through a narrative structure. We need to talk and share in the deepest way. And we need to feel deeply. We have to honor the instinctual drives as they move us. Not be controlled by them, but learn to regulate them properly within our relationships. And we have a deep sense of living when we do this. We become physically healthier. We become spiritually nourished. This is the ideal I set out to pursue. So why can't we do this as a society? I'll leave the question up to you, but I do genuinely think that it's something that I'm responding to. But it will require extensive commitment within relationships to individuals. I have found it to be nourishing when I have the opportunity to form any kind of relationship with people. But it is always the quality of being, the quality of relating, that can return back and nourish our souls. So we must nourish one another. We must heal one another. Healing is possible through the way that we learn to relate. But sickness is also possible in learning to relate in ways that do not nourish our souls. I hope you found this video interesting, and I hope that you are doing well. And I wish you only the best. Take care.